Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the 60th edition of the Stateside Report UK. I'm your host, Stateside Gab. Alongside me, as always, Mr. My head is gone.
Milestone, 60th episode. Certain
It's
players'
a big
teams,
episode for the boys. Yes, of course it
certain
is.
players' teams are winning. I can't relate though. First of all, we got them lot.
Oh,
We got them lot. Top of the league. My Packers in Green Bay getting a dub. OKC, another win. Obviously, Shea averaging 32 points on 33 minutes played. That's a point a minute, and these lot want to talk about Luka, Giannis, and Jokic. Give me a break. Give me a break. What? Respect your league MVP. But answer to your question, I'm doing all right,
yeah,
man.
that's
I mean,
Stateside top
episode
tips in case you didn't
60.
imagine. Yeah,
Episode 60, I'm doing all good, man. Jeremy got a little haircut as well, so I'm looking
yeah,
respectable
presentable.
again.
I understand.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
got the camera on, finally got the light on a little bit brighter as well, just so, you can see the hairline a bit. Still
right.
intact somehow. But, we're plodding on.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
you are. I'm sure you are.
what are we saying, though?
I'm currently
What are your
watching.
team saying?
I'm currently watching Man United. But I don't even know what this performance is. I can say, not beat Everton 1-0 at home. This great red carded for them side, by the way. It's looking mad. I'm not gonna lie. Pickford's playing out of his skin right
Of
now.
course.
The Kings might be. We're gonna talk about it, but the Kings might be blowing them up. Distressed is the words that I will use for that. But let me get into some of the NBA headlines that's doing the rounds, so I can give my head, a break from looking at the rubbish that I'm seeing at Old Trafford right now. Speaking of Man United, Manchester United has reportedly agreed to establish a basketball team as a part of the NBA's planned European League expansion. Giannis Antetokounmpo remains out for a few weeks after suffering an adductor strain last week versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Chris Paul has announced this season that this will be his last in the NBA. He's currently on the Los Angeles Clippers, averaging 2 points, 4 assists a game. Dark, but Stateside Humph will go through, what's going on in the rounds at the moment. Obviously, do your best to forget about the nonsense that's happening on the pitch right now at Old Trafford. But an NBA European League and an expansion involving Man United, some other teams as well I can imagine dotted around Europe, maybe to challenge the Euro League. I'm not upset about that, but what do you say? What's your reaction to when you heard that, when you saw the news?
I mean, to be fair, I'd love to see someone like this. I just don't know to what height that it can reach. Because obviously, when you're talking about Man United, you're talking about one of the biggest franchises, if you want to put it at that, one of the biggest franchises in Europe. So then, when you're putting in basketball terms, I'm looking at your Bayern Munich's, I'm looking at your Barcelona's, Real Madrid's. They have basketball teams. If you want to go to Greece, Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, they're them type of. You know what I mean? They all have basketball teams, and they're doing very, very well in European basketball. So I kind of say it's long overdue. It's long overdue trying to get a team like a Manchester United in terms of basketball. I just don't know how it will look in the long term. Best case scenario, but it's something. If it actually does happen, I'll be interested to see it.
I think there's a guy, Will Mox Sports, if I'm not mistaken. Apologies if I'm getting his name
Yes,
wrong.
I keep
On
seeing him
TikTok,
on
he great.
TikTok.
He's excellent. Yes, he's excellent at covering Euro League and all the the games and the politics and all the stories that happen over there. I'd love to get his. Maybe we should bring him on. I know he's a Milwaukee Bucks fan as well, which we'll get onto very shortly. But he'd be very interesting to get his take in regards to what this could mean for people that have, or teams that have established teams like your Real Madrid, your Barcelona's, the Bayern Munich's, these guys that are doing very well in EuroLeague. Are they going to be looking to move over to the NBA side of things? Because I'd like to imagine there'd be more money in there, more exposure as well, of course. Interesting. I don't know, but maybe we'll bring him on one of these days and we'll have a conversation about it. It's not till 2027, if I'm not mistaken. So still got some time, still got this season and the next to get into
Yeah,
it. But exciting times, I think, because
100%.
maybe there might be a London team, maybe the Arsenal might partake in the basketball.
Hey, it has a nice ring to it, man. Do you know what I mean? Get me my
You
ring
know,
in May. Do you know what I mean? That's what I
uh,
want.
you know.
OKC got me mine in June. Get me this one in May. Give me the league. I need it. I
Let's
need it.
let's move on before I get another headache. The
Uh,
Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, as we just said earlier, just a few seconds ago, They are currently 11th in the Eastern Conference, 8 and 9. It's not looking too great. And obviously
A
now
Giannis
this.
led team? No way.
Well,
Call me.
if we're being fair, I ain't gonna lie. He was playing a few of those games that they've been losing. I ain't gonna lie. I saw the Hornets on that schedule that they lost. I saw the
Whew.
Sixers on that schedule and they lost. These are teams that you'd like to think that if they're trying to compete, they're trying to be at the top of the East. These are the teams that they should be beating. These teams that have roster issues or that are traditionally poorer teams in the Eastern Conference. But this goes without saying, Stateside time. If Giannis is gonna, have this injury kind of cloud over his head, or at least for this next stretch of games. No Giannis, no nothing in Milwaukee. It's quite as easy as that, is it not?
100%. As I always say every time I talk about the Bucks, if as long as you have Giannis, you have a puncher's chance. If you don't have Giannis, you're cooked. You know what I mean? And it's like I was on TikTok live yesterday. You know what I mean? And the topic of Giannis came up.
Oh.
I got accused that I even hate Nigerians at this point. I'm like, what? That's my Nigerian brothers. What?
I
You know what I mean?
mean, I mean, hey man, there's some proofs there that
Every time I speak about Giannis, they're like, oh, like why are you always hating on Giannis? It's 8 and 9, a Giannis led team. That can't, surely not,
11th
right?
in the East, in the
That's not the
East.
second. That can't be the second best player in the league, surely, right? But I'm just saying, like all jokes aside, putting all of that aside, I just want to see Giannis at age 30, 31 in his prime. I just want to see him dominating, not with like individual accolades and stuff. I want a better team built around him. I want competent role players wanting to actually go to Milwaukee. I don't know how it works in terms of how they can get there, but I just want to see the Bucks and Giannis competitive as well. Do you know what I mean? I want to see him playing deep in April, May, June, even. I mean, obviously, if he sees us in June, he's cooked. But I'm just saying, if I just Giannis is too good to not to get to. Giannis is too good to be keep getting knocked out in the first round. Do you know what I mean? Or not making the playoffs, or
Yeah.
being injured and stuff like that. It's just he's too good for that. You know what I mean? And as the league in general as well, they need Giannis playing well. They need Giannis's team performing because I guess that's how you can promote the best players in the league. But if we always have Giannis top two, top three players in the world, but then come playoff time where more eyes are watching, where you have more casual fans watching, and his team's not there, he's not playing.
Mm.
I know to an extent you can't blame him because the team isn't good enough, but still, whether it's injuries, whether it's team not good enough, coach not good enough, and Doc Rivers, it's still disappointing. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you hope he gets back quickly from that injury, but what's going on in Milwaukee is a little bit sad. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's interesting though, Milwaukee, just because I feel like they're in a situation kind of like LeBron in the Cavs, where it's like it's Milwaukee, nobody really wants to go there for real. And maybe you think I'm crazy, Stateside Tough, but there's an argument that these players, like your Giannis's, like your LeBrons, people don't. It's going to be sound weird to say, but people necessarily don't want to play with them unless they fit a specific kind of mold. If you're, a spot up kind of shooter, or like maybe in other cases, if you're like a rim running guy that you don't need the ball to be effective. Basically, if you don't need the ball to be effective in your role, you're perfect next to a Giannis, next to a LeBron, because they're going to do a lot of the hard work for you. But if you're somebody that likes to, show what you can do, if to score the ball a little bit, to take shots, to have the ball in your hands, to have a little bit of responsibility, it's then very difficult to go and play with a Giannis, a Luka, a LeBron, a Jokic, you could say as well. It's quite difficult to convince people that you can come here and you can still be effective. Well, no, not really, because if you're taking the ball out of that star player's hands, a Giannis, a LeBron, the people that I've mentioned, then, some people, most people, I feel like, don't feel that comfortable in doing it, even if it means that you doing it will take us to the championship. Do you get what I mean in regards to that's why it could be difficult in regards to getting some real talent in Milwaukee, let's just say, just because they've been relying on guys like Kevin Porter Jr. I know the Ryan Rollins has been playing very well in regards to when Giannis has missed time and even when Giannis has been in the lineup. But if it's not via trade, it's not going to be via free agency, and they're always so low in the draft that they always have to develop young guys anyway. It's tough to bring guys to Milwaukee just because all of those factors, I feel like.
100%. I mean, Milwaukee itself, just the location, just doesn't really help. Do you know what I mean? But if you're a Bucks fan, you hope Giannis's play can help attract players to Milwaukee that want to play with Giannis. Do you know what I mean? That see a potential of winning something because Giannis has won before. You know what I mean? He's dragged players to the championship. But then the level of opposition that he played to win that championship in the Suns, how strong were they? I don't want to take his championship away from him, but I'm just saying.
We'll talk about Chris Paul in a second now.
I mean, I hear it. I hear it, but still, let me not even go that route with Giannis. But everything that you laid out there is right, in the sense that it's very difficult to trade for players to come to Milwaukee and that location, Milwaukee. If it's not Green Bay, I don't know what I'm doing in Milwaukee. I don't know what I'm doing in Wisconsin. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to go there. So things almost look. I think things look a bit bleak in Milwaukee, because so much is heavily reliant on Giannis staying healthy, which, as you've seen in the last couple seasons, especially going into the playoffs, he hasn't been. You know what I mean, he's now getting these niggling injuries and stuff like that, when before he never did. You know what I mean, and slowly but surely his team's just getting worse and worse. That just spells disaster in Milwaukee, bro.
I'm telling you, when I said in the summer that this roster, in my eyes, wasn't good enough to compete.
Mm,
There were some people that called me crazy just because of the level of talent that Giannis is and the pieces that he had around him. Yes, complementary pieces, a lot of them. Yes, a lot of them are talented. Miles Turners of the world, they have other guys in there as well that, yeah, I like the cut of their jibs. But if it's just Giannis surrounded by with these guys, and you don't have, your Dames, you don't have your Drew Holidays, you don't have your Chris Middletons, and those people of the, of that ilk, it's not
mm.
happening in Milwaukee. I'm sorry. It will have to take a quite literal, heroic Superman, Batman, Robin, everything in one from Giannis to even get you even close. So,
It's
people
so
call me
hard to do
crazy.
that.
People call me crazy, but hey, man, I said I maintain it. I'm just not very high on the Milwaukee Bucks. But obviously, Giannis coming in, like you always say, gives them a puncher's chance. So let's see, and let's hope he gets healthy as well, because I like seeing Giannis play. I like seeing it.
100%. I mean, just to quickly add, I mean, in the East, I mean, you've got Detroit, whether real or not. I mean, they're still teams. They kind of remind me a little bit of the Rockets last year,
Mm,
where they won a lot of games. The Rockets end up second, but Golden State was like, we don't mind coming seventh. I mean, and facing the Rockets, because they really haven't been there. So that
mm.
opportunity to to beat a team very inexperienced at the top of the league, if you have a Giannis and Milwaukee, if you finish low in the standings, you could end up facing a Detroit. Do you know what I mean? And you could
Mm.
try and find a way that way. I mean, there is still this window in the East where I feel like all is not too bad.
But you say that though, and I know we shouldn't even be. We should have probably put this in our Eastern Conference breakdown. But you think about even the teams that are in the East, that I feel like Milwaukee is not really a good matchup, or is a good matchup for most of these teams, because you think of the way Detroit. Yeah, you think of the way that Detroit are going. You think of the way that the Raptors are a surprise team this year. Even Miami, will they sustain it? I don't know. But just thinking about it going forwards, and you think about other teams that are they're going to be in and around there. The Pacers last year, from you said, a horrible matchup for the Bucks. They probably won't win the series. You think about how they spread the ball and everybody eats and everybody touches the ball. In that situation in Milwaukee, like I said, yeah, it's all well and good having Giannis average 35, 10, 6, but who's going to be the other people that's going to be eating with him for real? You know what I mean? So when you come into a
Yeah,
playoff situation where it's like, cool, as long as we're probably not even going to contain Giannis. So he can average, he's 30, 35, whatever the case is. We make sure that nobody else eats. That's very, no, I don't want to say easy, because easy is not the right word, but that's very achievable for a lot of
yeah,
franchises and for a lot of teams in the East, should Milwaukee come up against them in the playoffs. So I'm not saying, they need to start making some moves in the trade deadline. Well, call me a liar, because yes, I am. If they go into the playoffs with this current constructed roster, with how Giannis, yes, he's playing well, but with how Giannis plays with all this collection of talent, not doing nothing.
they're asking a lot from him. They're asking a lot from Giannis. And as you're saying, maybe back in the day, maybe what, 5, 8 years ago, you could do like a whole one man team sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But now rosters are too deep, too and their depth has too much quality in it. Where one sole player in a Giannis type just can't beat you. You saw that with Jokic last year with OKC. As great as he was, as historic as his numbers were, eventually that lack of depth in Jokic's team, and obviously in OKC, there's quality at the top end, but the depth as well eventually will just catch up. You know what I mean? There's only so much you can do on your own. Basketball has changed in a sense, which obviously we'll touch on with the whole enforcer thing. later on. So it's like with Milwaukee, there's still avenues, but so much has to go right.
Chris Paul has announced that he's going to retire from NBA action after this postseason. I understand what people are saying now these days about Chris Paul. You know, it's an unction in Clipper Town. It might be, more additions. We'll speak on it shortly in regards to what they're looking at. But with Chris Paul, stateside Humph, I'm not going to let you come on here and slander a good man's name because I know you and I know what you're about to say. However, 12-time All Star, Olympic champion, top 75. The first player to hit 20,000 points and 10,000 assists. Give respect where respect is due for Chris Paul, first ballot Hall of Famer. Argue with the wall. What do you say?
I mean, I Chris Paul had a hater in me for a long time until he came to OKC in 2020, and I had a complete different view on Chris Paul, and
Had a
I felt like I saw
completely
the
big impact on your MVP.
no 100%, 100%. I was even gonna talk about it as well. I saw the point guard position in a complete different light because I was so accustomed and so used to seeing how Russ played for us. You know what I mean, like super, like freakishly athletic. You know what I mean, like basically just overpowering everyone with his athleticism. But then seeing Chris Paul come in and be an absolute like a proper surgeon, like yeah, surgical point guard. And it just gave me a different appreciation for not only the point guard position, but also Chris Paul's game, especially at that moment in his career where he was riddled by injuries, and obviously he came into an OKC team that had no expectation whatsoever, but then took us to the playoffs and obviously took to 7 games against Houston. So hey, there's nothing but good things for me to say about Chris Paul. At this stage of his career, I think personally he should have retired last season, but I see why he wants to do the whole homecoming thing, at the Clippers and stuff like that. But you could see that he was coming to his end of his time in the NBA last season. This season was just, I think it was a season too far. I don't know if it's his 20th season. Was he trying to do the
Something
whole?
like that.
Yeah, I don't know if he was trying to do the whole big, round numbers sort of thing. But
Mm.
this Clippers team very old. I mean, bringing Chris Paul onto that as well just skyrockets their age. Um, I don't like when great players end their career, basically where the wheels has fallen off. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And LeBron did speak about this way, saying that I'm not gonna retire where the rules has fallen off. I'll retire when I'm still at a good, position. But LeBron, that he's an alien.
Yeah, that's
But with Chris
different
Paul,
gravy.
exactly, he's a completely different type player. But then with Chris Paul, you were seeing his numbers significantly drop last season. You're like, yeah, hang him up. But then I still feel like players like this still should be celebrated for what they have done. Do you know what I mean? And the impact that they have had, even if they haven't won a ring. Because when people talk about Chris Paul, they're always bringing up about CP0 rings. Even I have been one of those. You know what I mean? But it's all it's all fun and jokes. I mean, we're all laughing here. You know what I mean? But hey, Chris Paul, one of if yeah one I would say the best point guard because I think it's Curry, Magic, whatever. But Chris Paul, he is by far and away one of the best point guards ever in the game of basketball, and hopefully he grows into the season so then he can close out his career in a more respectable way in terms of his basketball play.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I've always been a fan, you could say, of Chris Paul just because of his play style is, I don't want to say a dying breed, but you don't see it so much in regards to people of his stature being allowed to really do what they can do in regards to running and facilitating an offense and quarterbacking a defense as well. People forget that he was an all-time defender at the point guard position as well. So fair plays, fair dues to Chris Paul. Hopefully he can end his career and the season on a good note with the Clippers. They are currently 12th in the Western
Oof.
Conference, 5-12. Excuse me. Got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of work to do.
Harden is doing everything in his power.
We spoke about them in the last episode. Now I
He
told you about
did.
James Harden. You see people that put mud on James Harden's name. I understand. It's tough for me to do though, just because you can see
Top
his
three
career.
shooting guards ever.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Behind Kobe and MJ? Would you
No,
put D
he's
Wade
not
ahead of
better
him?
than D Wade to me. I give him top five though.
What?
No, he's not better than D Wade to me. No.
Why? Because D Wade won a ring in '06.
Well, number one,
What?
yes. Yeah, number one, yes. Absolute
Everyone wants
carry,
a ring, man.
absolute carry job that, I don't want to say James Harden can never do, but at that level, have you ever seen James Harden do it? No.
I'm just saying, James Harden does stuff Dwayne Wade could dream of doing.
Well, on the defensive end, Dwayne Wade does stuff that James Harden couldn't even dream of doing,
But I'm just
unfortunately.
saying, historic. Bro, Harden has done stuff, historic stuff
Yes,
in the
yes.
league.
Top five is not an
Historic,
insult. He's not better than Dwayne Wade.
consistently.
He's not better than Dwayne Wade, bro. I'm sorry.
Fair enough, man. Let's move on to the next one.
So we'll see what the people think about that. I'll tell you this though, Jordan Pickford's probably better than both of them because what he's doing with his hands, bloody punched out another corner, bloody hell, it's sensational.
Of course he did.
Oh,
That's my England number one. Do you know what I mean?
He's bringing it home. Bringing it home. He's bringing the
Get him
3
on
point
the
back to
plane
Goodison as well.
right now.
Bloody hell.
Bro, get him on the plane.
Dark. How about we talk a little bit about the Western Conference Stateside Tough, just because interesting matchup between the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies, but the basketball wasn't the thing that the people were talking about. It was Ja Morant over there. Klay, did I say the Golden State Warriors? Look at my head. I meant the Dallas Mavericks. I'm so used to seeing Klay in the Warriors jersey. Oh, bloody hell.
Facts. You don't look right in Dallas.
I don't. The Grizzlies and the Mavericks. Excuse me, where's my manners? Ja was on that side, Klay was on that side, and they were yapping at each other. Ja had a lot to say, and he bumped into one of his teammates, Spencer's post game interview, saying that tell them who was the best shooter on the court. It wasn't that guy over there. And then Klay was in his post game in the locker room saying that, well, Ja, funny guy. Doesn't take a lot of responsibility though, does he, for a lot of his actions on the court, off the court, whatever you want to call it. I don't even want to say Stateside Hub, whose side are you on? Because it's not necessarily a who's right and who's wrong kind of thing. But I just find it very interesting that they have both a lot to say when they're in relatively similar brackets in regards to they're both players. One are probably more obviously so in my eyes, but they're both on the decline. They're both doing this. And the fact that they're both yapping when they're both not really seeing the situation that they're both in, it's very interesting to me, Stacey. But what was your reaction to Ja versus Klay?
See, now, before we started, I spoke about there's these two bums calling each other bums. But Klay has won way too much and has done way too much to be put in Ja conversations. Do you know what I mean? Bro, all Ja has done is talk. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, that 2022 series, you can tell that Ja still has that in his mind. Let it go. You still end up losing that series. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure he's carried on a bit of that beef because they were yapping a lot in that series. Most of it came from Draymond. Do you know what I mean? Always writing checks that Steph and Klay at times had to cash. Do you know what I mean? But I expect someone like Klay at the age of 34, 35, with Achilles, ACLs, MCL. Bro, I expect his game to decline, especially as a shooter as well. You lose a bit of your legs. But with Ja, he's meant to be entering his prime. You can't be on the decline at the age of 25, 26. Do you know what I mean? And then calling Klay a 4-time NBA champion, one of the best shooters that's ever lived, a bum. Crazy. But that's Ja though. Do you know what I mean? That's all he does. He talks. So I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. I do think, like I said, I know it's for both of them, but probably more so for Ja. Like, you got to read the room a little bit.
He never reads the room. That's the thing. He never reads the room.
Never. Oh, the game's finished. Thank bloody hell, because Jack closed the stream. Ja Morant, he just never reads the room in regards to, your name is not in great company, great circles. Your numbers are not what they used to be. Your overall play and your happiness are not what they used to be. So there's nothing wrong with keeping your head down, and just moving a little bit in silence. Let your play do a little bit more of the talking because it kind of needs to. In regards to if you think you have some sort of future in Memphis, whether you think you have some sort of future with another team, you need to kind of buckle down, lock in, and actually play some good basketball. Otherwise, you can, we spoke about Ja a few weeks ago in regards to he used to be here, in regards to being one of the faces of the NBA, being one of the best players at his position, best players in the league in general. But if he continues this kind of conversations or if he continues this kind of behavior, it's not happening. It's not going back. It's not, we'll never put his name in those kind of conversations probably again. And that would be very sad to see, the trajectory he was on to see where he is now. I like to think he just buckled down, put your head down, and start hooping, because that's what we want to see at the end of the day. Not this bloody back and forth where you're both looking silly, you know.
He also is in headlines that he's not meant to be in, but that's the Ja Morant experience. Do you know what I mean? The guy's talking more than he's playing.
Unfortunately, we have to go on to some more depressing news, and it's in regards to my Sacramento Kings. I just can't win tonight,
You beat
unfortunately.
Denver the other night.
Yeah, nice, cool.
Shout out Russ, man.
Unfortunately, we're still trading everybody, allegedly. I understand that it's not been the greatest of times per se. We're 14th in the Western Conference, 4-13. The record says. I had some hope that potentially a playing spot could be
Rough,
very
man.
much up fighting for, and we are 2 games back from it, so it's not completely the end of the world. We can make a little run, you know. However, it has been reported that the Kings brass are ready to trade everybody apart from Keegan Murray, my boy, and Nick Clifford, the rookie of this year. Stateside Humph. I guess I'll ask you like this: are you surprised if, in the next few weeks you start seeing trade after trade after trade, and eventually the Kings have a completely new team to the one that they had coming into the season? Would you be surprised if that happened?
I won't be surprised, and I think a lot, well, not a lot, but like teams that end up in, as I say, purgatory. Do you know what I mean? When you're not good enough to be competing, but you're not good enough to be rock bottom. You're just there. You know what I mean? You're a quintessential playing team, like your Bulls, the Heat, the Kings. Just blow everything up and start again. Do you know what I mean? Like scale everything back. I know certain teams you want to get your Zach Levines, you want to get your DeMar DeRozans in there to have some sort of relevancy, but it's just not working. Do you know what I mean? So they're just a constant cycle of mediocrity, and then you bring in my goat Westbrook, who's putting up good numbers, but then at
He's
what
played very
cost?
well, very well, very well. I've been very impressed with Westbrook.
I can't believe he plays for your team. It throws me off every single time I see him in a Sacramento Kings jersey. It throws me off so much.
Oh.
But I mean, quality player. Do you know what I mean? But then I feel like Westbrook, the value that he can bring is is better suited for a team like the Nuggets, for a team that can actually compete, that sees himself as a regular playoff contender or a regular playoff team, not the Kings. No disrespect, obviously, but it's just teams like the Kings. I just feel like it's good to just blow everything up, start again. You know what I mean? Try and create a real identity and just, yeah, go from the bottom and go all the way up again.
Well, on the bright side, for people like your Keon Ellis's, your Westbrooks, you could throw him a League Monk in there as well. They're on respectable contracts where it's like, cool, we can move these guys, and they're valuable enough pieces to actually get things back for them. Where it's like, cool, we've got a new front office now. You like to think there's new decision makers in there, and obviously with hopefully some new, fresh, young talent coming in via trade. Hopefully some picks coming in as well that hopefully land in what's supposed to be a really deep draft class that's coming up. That's what the people tell me now. Let's hope that the future looks a little bit brighter come the season's end, because I don't want to say the season's over. I just said we can still complete for a play-in team, even if we were to keep this current crop of players. However, I am warming to the fact a little bit that if we were to get some really good pieces for, your Sabonis's, your Demars, your Levines, if Dennis Schroeder has any sort of trade value, which I don't think he has at the minute, he's not been great. But like I said, your Ellis's and your Malik Monks and even your Westbrooks, others as well, I'd like to think that we can get some good pieces for that. And, I'm warm to the idea that, fine, if we have to tank it and we have to get a decent pick, maybe AJ Debanza, I don't know, number one pick, I don't know, then, all right, no problem, no problem. But, yeah, Bleak times in Sacktown, man, ain't looking good for the boys.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Somebody is actually looking very, very sunny, if I do say so myself. The Phoenix Suns, coming into the season, I'll be real. I saw the Jalen Green trade, and I said, "Yeah, it's over."
Right.
No,
He's been
no
injured
more.
though.
Yeah, he has, and even in the game that he did play, He was decent actually in his first game that he
Yeah.
played. I can't remember who it was against, but he was hooping. I give it to him, regardless, he's not been there. Don't really matter. They've still been doing it. If I look at the standings, the 11 and 6 occupying the sixth spot, the last play-in spot or last playoff spot. Excuse me.
Yeah, they beat the
And
Spurs yesterday night as well.
yeah, Devin Booker, the boys. Let me ask you this, Stateside Humph. I have a game that I'm going to play, so I don't want to go into too many players specifically in regards to what the Suns are doing. And you can understand by the standings and the way they're playing, fair plays and respect is due to them. How much of a chance do you actually give them in the Western Conference, by the way, as well, to finish in a playoff spot? Worst case scenario, finish in a play-in spot.
They can definitely finish in a playoff spot. Only thing is, can they win a round in the playoffs in the West? Currently, right now, they sit, as you said, they would play the Denver Nuggets if they end up in. That's what I'm saying. If it's not the Nuggets, let's say the Nuggets move up one, it'll be the Lakers. Can the Suns beat the Lakers in 7?
I don't know.
Luka against the Suns again. A worse Sun. So it's like, if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, you're happy with where you're at. Do you know what I mean? You want to get into the playoffs. You don't want to toy in and around the play and end up the 8th seed because long. Do you know what I mean? But so it's just one of those ones you don't mind. You love where you're at because when everything happened, when Jalen Green came in, when obviously KD left. I was thinking, what big star left when KD left, and then obviously Jalen Green came in, Bradley Beal as well. So things are looking a lot more rosy. Do you know what I mean? There's less expectation when you don't have your KDs and your Bradley Bills and the whole big three with Devin Booker as well. Booker as well. It looks like he's got the chance to, I guess, be the vet in the team, be the number one star player. Obviously he came into the league as he came into the league scoring a lot of points, but they didn't really amount to. I don't want to say that didn't amount to nothing, but it came across like empty calorie stuff. Remember when he went to Boston, dropped like 71
He did
points?
that
Was
as
it?
a second year player, maybe rookie, but second year
They
player at
still
least.
they still got blown out. It was still a blowout loss. Do you know what I mean? So it's like his game has improved a lot. Do you know what I mean? He's tapped into his playmaking as well. You see that he greases the wheel of everything that the Phoenix Suns do well.
Plays
So
decent defense as well these days.
exactly, there's a lot of responsibility that's been put on him. There's a lot of expectation and a lot of eyes on him because he's the only one there now as the star player. Do you know what I mean? So they look to him to take us to the promised land. So it's interesting to see. Obviously, they've only played 17 games, so I don't want to overdo it with them, but I
React.
like I like exactly. I don't want to overreact with it, but I like what I'm seeing with Phoenix, and I like what I'm seeing with Devin Booker as well. Obviously, they have that culture with defense. They play really good defense. When Wemby came into town a couple of weeks ago as well, locked him down, so that gave him that confidence. They've beaten the Spurs twice. You know what I mean, the Spurs they've lost 5 games. 2 of them is on Phoenix, and the Spurs are a very very good team. So shout out to Phoenix and what they're doing right now. Definitely will keep an eye on them, but so far so good if you're a Phoenix fan.
It might be ISOJ Hoops break the glass time. I don't know.
Facts.
He's
We might have
a
to
very
get him
happy
on.
boy. Yeah, he's a very happy boy. I can imagine.
Facts.
Speaking of Western Conference, bits and bobs of drama. Stateside Huff, shall we play a game?
Let's play a game. Let's do it.
Oh,
Let's do it.
now I've lied to you slightly because it's not so much of a game, but it's a little bit of a discussion. I like a discussion with you once in a while. NBA issues that happen here and there, and this one is in regards to Kenyon Martin versus Draymond Green. Because if you don't know, I'll summarize the beef as much as I can. Kenyon Martin was on Gilbert Arenas and is on Gilbert Arenas podcast talking about. I don't know how they even got into the conversation, but essentially he just came out and said Draymond Green ain't him, he ain't good. I don't know what really people see in him. A nice little defender, otherwise drafted to a pretty good situation. That's probably what the consensus or the whole of the conversation was. Draymond obviously heard it, and naturally being Draymond, he was like, Kenyon Martin and that. My 4 rings to his 0, all my finals to his nonsense, all my defensive teams to his, my defensive player of the year. Can't really be talking on my name like that. Not me, not Draymond.
He was always gonna bite.
Yeah.
Draymond was always gonna bite.
And Kenyon Martin, in response to that, went on Instagram and named 50 power forwards better than Draymond Green. You know, and I'll be honest. On if I'm, on Kenyan side a little bit, I'm not saying I am, but if I was to look at it from that way, yes, there's a lot of players that I will put above Draymond in all-time power forward rankings. He actually said there's 200 players as a whole. I don't know about 200, but maybe I don't know. But I don't believe there's 200 players better than Draymond Green. But 50 power forwards. After a while, he started naming enforcer, physical kind of power forwards that were old school back in the day kind of guy. Your Charles Oakley's, your Bolt Outlaws,
Oh,
your
please.
Reggie Evans, these kind of guys, you know?
Uh,
But then the conversation is not more of Draymond Green a top 50 power forward. Yes, he's better than all those guys that I just mentioned.
I'm not
Chuck
putting many
Robinson's.
ahead of Draymond, by the way.
So yeah, oh no, there's not many that no. I put 15 power forwards maybe ahead of Draymond.
Sure.
Fair play to that. For argument's sake, I won't name off the top of my head, but I could probably do that quite confidently.
Mm.
The question I have for you is more of, especially when you started going down the Forcer route in regards to the people that even you want to put modern day examples like your Donis Haslams and your James Johnsons, these guys that they don't mind a scrap, don't mind a fight. Is the enforcer role character, whatever you want to call it, is the enforcer dead in this day and age of the NBA? And that's the question I'm asking to you, Stateside Humph.
I'd say so, I'd say so. It's like we were saying before the show started. When I look at most of the successful teams recently and the teams that are really good now, they ain't really an enforcer on the team. You don't really need it. It's such an old school sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like who's really fighting nowadays? Who's trying to lose bread like that? Do you know what I mean? Because one little push, one little scuffle, $50,000. You know what I mean, you're getting fined. Who's trying to do that for a little push and a pull? You know what I mean? When Kenny Martin was talking about an enforcer, so you're talking about swinging and fighting and punching all that stuff. No one's doing that in today's NBA anymore. I mean, we're actually playing basketball now. I mean, not like back in the day when I mean, hard fouls and this, but it's all a myth. You know what I mean? But like, you still need dogs on your team. That I'm not gonna understate. You need dogs on your team, but like an enforcer like a James Johnson, bro, it's just vets trying to get paid. You know what I mean? Just vets just cheerleading on the end of the bench. You know what I mean? Like giving good veteran advice, but as an enforcer, that specific term, that's dead, man. That's not a thing anymore.
No, but you say that, and like these are all off the top of my head, by the way. So I could be completely wrong, but I like to think that there's still like a few, like Isaiah Stewart is the main one that I would point out in regards to. Yes, there's a little bit of identity that fits around what Isaiah Stewart does for the Pistons that make them an effective team that obviously protect their star players, because that's what an enforcer is supposed to do, right? That's what Draymond likes to do in Golden State, right? You're not going to be messing with any of the young guys, and particularly the point guard over there, Stephen Curry. You're not messing around and Draymond Green is just going to sit there and have it. Draymond Green will
Right.
happily get thrown out of a game if it means protecting one of his guys. And I like to think that that's what the main role, of an enforcer is supposed to be. James Johnson last year was supposed to be that, or was that, for a Pacers team that had Tyrese, who liked to give it a little bit of this. Let's have it right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'd like to think that these kind of characters, and there's probably even more that I'm not even thinking off the top of my head now, is Thanasis an enforcer type for the Bucks, especially when it comes to messing with the Giannis? I don't know, but I'd like to think that these kind of guys, even though they're few and far between, especially when it's done correctly, they are still effective for teams that are trying to go somewhere. Not necessarily for teams that are trying to, that are middling teams or like, that are lottery teams. Those enforcer kind of types, then it's not working over there. You lot are not winning, so nobody's really paying attention. But especially if
Right.
you're trying to win, I think it does say something when you have that dog that's really willing to put it all on the line for the benefit of his star player, for the benefit of his teammates, for obviously the betterment of a team getting a win, especially in the playoff series. I think that could be very effective. So is it dead? Probably, yes. But the ones that still bear the flag now, I think it's fair play, still effective in the right situation. Just me, though.
No, 100%. I mean, I appreciate that take. I do, but it's just the term enforcer. I just can't take that serious. Do you know what I mean? Because in today's NBA, you're losing too much if you end up in some sort of scuffle. If you say the wrong thing, you look a ref the bad way. Do you know what I mean? But I do appreciate good veteran leadership. I think there's a lot of teams, and it doesn't even have to be winning teams. Just if anything, losing teams, they need that veteran leadership a lot more. You're seeing Toronto. I mean,
Mm.
the one team that I said, I'm keeping my eye on this season. They have Garrett Temple, I think his name is.
Yes, he's 40.
That's what I'm trying to say. He's never gonna step on a basketball court, but they need someone like that. Do you know what I mean? A good veteran leadership. I mean, OKC is it's a bunch of kids. I mean, the best player, Shea's what, 26?
Mm.
Caruso, 31. Do you know what I mean? He's played with some of the best players, and so he's a good vet. He provides good veteran leadership.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Tristan Thompson, I like to think with the Cavs in regards to them trying to go for a championship. He's been in Cleveland and seen championship runs. I like to think he's an effective voice in that locker room. He might not have
That's
the
what I'm
support,
saying.
but an effective voice.
Exactly, but that's all good veteran leadership. But the whole enforcer thing, and I know the connotation, and I know the vibe that is said with them type of players. I mean, I know you named Draymond and Isaiah Stewart, but there ain't really anyone else like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, let's say in a playoff game, Cade gets into it with someone and Isaiah Stewart, push and push, and he gets ejected. That's a quality piece of their team defense that they need on the court that they can't afford to lose. So it's like, how much of an enforcer do you really want him to be? Obviously, you want him to play with an edge. You still want him to be a dog. Like I said, I love teams that have dogs on their team that are gritty, but the whole enforcer thing, I know exactly what Kenya Martin's meaning by that, and just teams nowadays don't have it, and particularly in my opinion, don't need it.
Fair play. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's an interesting discussion. Of course, I'll put it out to the
Yeah,
people to see what they say in regards to if they think enforcers are dead, first of all, and if they think they're still effective, very few that are still in the NBA. Because, like I said, there's probably even more that, off the top of my head, that I can't really name. And I can't literally write into ChatGPT or Google, can you give me the NBA enforcers in 2025, 26? It doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
right.
So I'd like to be interested if there's any more that we've missed, or if there's any that we haven't thought about. Let us know. I'd like to
Tell us
see if
now.
there's still enforcers in the league, or if they are already dead. We're gonna go into our Eastern Conference section of the Stateside Report UK episode 60 as well. Big milestone for the boys.
Facts.
Um, we spoke about the Heat and Udonis Haslem in our enforcer chat, and I want to speak about them again, just because if I look at the Eastern Conference standings,
We're a
the
four-game
Heat.
winning streak.
Yeah, they're fourth in the Eastern Conference right now as well. 7-1, excuse me, at home as well. So one of the better home teams in the NBA. And I wanted to speak to you in regards to Tyler Hero, just because he obviously hasn't played as of right now because he came into the season unfortunately injured. And they've been rolling. Norman Powell, especially, by the way. We have to have a conversation about Norman Powell just because, look, I like the development that he's made and I like the strides that he's made in regards to being a shooter, defender, scorer as well. Has really taken the mantle from what it was last year and taken it into this year. Fantastic stuff. But stateside Hamph, slapping in a piece like Tyler Hero, I understand that the Heat play this not too many pick and rolls, this fluid style offense. They like to get the ball up and down and stuff like that, but they're gonna have to find a way to just drop in a 20-point scorer while also keeping the principles and everything that they've built coming into the season that has brought them into the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference. I guess the question I have for you is, how easy is that, or the two I have, how easy is that to do? And the other one I have for you is, do you expect Tyler Hero to, I guess, help or, controversially, in a way hinder them in regards to how well they've started the season?
I mean, this talk is always like a constant thing. Do you know what I mean, when a team's doing well and one of their best players are coming back? You could say the same thing with Jalen Williams as well. It's like everything looks almost too perfect for it to be ruined. Do you know what I mean? But a player like Tyler Hero, averaging what, 20, almost 24 points last season, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That's a smart basketball player. Do you know what I mean? He's been in and around the Heat organization for a long time. Do you know what I mean? So a player like that coming back, I don't expect. I'll be surprised if he doesn't fit in seamlessly. Do you know what I mean? It might take a couple games, but ultimately it's a plug and play sort of thing. The Heat, they're notoriously known for plug and play, bringing someone into this Heat offense, this culture thing that they have going on. I don't see how it won't work if not make it better, because 24 points is still 24 points. You know what I mean? You can't get that anywhere else. Norman Powell, like you mentioned as well, shout him out because He balled out at the Clippers last year. I think he just missed out on the All-Star berth. Very, very good player. I like him a lot on both ends of the court. Bringing in a Tyler Hero, like I said, was drafted there. Has been there multiple years. He will do nothing but better this Heat offense and just system in general.
I want to give you an overreaction because we're not going to do overreactions today. But what
Mm,
if I told you that sure, Tyler Hero starts the season very slowly with the Miami Heat and is
mm.
eventually traded for a piece that can help the Heat contend for a championship? What would you say if that happened? Do you think that's an overreaction?
It's not an overreaction. If I'm a Heat fan, I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if I'm a Heat fan, I'm looking at it like there's still a level that I feel like we can reach, and we've kind of meddled in and around. Like I mentioned earlier, kind of notoriously known as a play-in team. I mean, finished 10th last year, just sneaked into the eighth seed and got blown out by 30 points every game in the first round. So it's like something has to change. I mean, if even if you change the offense in a way you brought in one or two pieces, if you can trade away a Tyler Hero and bring in someone else, one chapter closes, another one opens. You know what I mean, you have to try stuff. You know what I mean, you have to see how can we, because you've lost Jimmy. Do you know what I mean? And you're still playing this well without Jimmy and Tyler Hero as of right now. So I'm not mad at. I won't be mad at it if I'm a Heat fan if we trade Tyler Hero away for whoever you bring in, but they have obviously have to be at the level.
Yeah, of course. You'd like to think that even if he starts the season slowly, he has enough credit in the bank that look, this is a quality player.
Right.
I might be wrong, but I want to say he's been an all-star in this league as well.
I think it
Um,
was last season.
yes, so he's of that caliber where it's like cool, and he's shown that he's a good enough piece that you can go to the finals with this guy because of his shooting ability, because of his scoring ability. So I like to think he could, get a pretty penny on the market in regards to getting somebody else better than him,
Mhm.
obviously, but bringing them to Miami and then getting them, where they want to be in regards to Eastern Conference finals. I don't know,
Who
stateside.
knows?
Um,
Of course.
we do have to go to the be responsible people and go to the bottom of the Eastern Conference. We haven't done that in a minute. We're going to go right to the very, very, very bottom in regards to the Washington Wizards, 1-15, worst record in the NBA. Oh yes, indeedy. The stateside. They traded Jordan Poole at the beginning of the season, obviously to the Pelicans, and he had a lot to say. They're not doing too well either. They have actually one more win in regards to the Wizards. But there's a difference between, I feel like, a lot of the teams at the bottom of the NBA.
Mm.
When I look at the people like the Wizards, I'll throw the Nets in there as well. And then I compare them to the other bad teams in the NBA. If I just look at the standings as a whole, I'm thinking about, Charlotte. Unfortunately, the Pacers are there, but, circumstances of Tyrese being there, I can give them a pass. But think about teams that are always down there, your Hornets, your Utah Jazzes, your Los Angeles Pelicans.
Mhm.
There's enough in regards to talent and people that they draft and bring in where it's like, okay, they're a bad team now, but you could see the development of one or two players, maybe a trade here or there. Their fortunes can turn around fairly quickly.
Right.
Whereas with the Wizards, yes, I've given credit to their young core numerous times. And I'll even give credit to Alex Sarr, who had a so-so rookie year last year, has turned it up a little bit this year and has been a real piece for them on defense. But really and truly, apart from him and apart from Keyshawn George, maybe, it still feels like over the last few years, what have they been doing in the draft? Because if they're not picking in the first or second, they're not drafting well enough. And year after year, it's the reason why obviously people don't want to be going there. People use them as salary dump because they're going to have salary cap because they can't sign nobody. So your likes of your CJ McCollums and your Chris Middletons, they're going to be there because Washington will take these guys, no problem. They need as much talent as they can get. They don't draft well enough and they don't bring in the right kind of people to turn the fortunes of their franchise around, which mean they're always just going to be at the bottom of the East unless they get that generational player, land the lottery, and get the number one pick. What what's your opinion? I guess is my question in regards to what Washington have been over the last few years. Because every year, probably for the last maybe 5, since Bradley Beal's not been there, they haven't moved from that bottom of the East, and that's not good enough in my eyes. That's not good
Mm.
enough.
I mean, you're right in everything you said. You know what I mean? I'm looking at their roster here, nothing really jumps out to me that's inspiring. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that's why I don't really like the whole tanking thing where you're intentionally losing enough games so you can have a higher, draft pick. Because then I always try and look at it from a fan's point of view because obviously as someone that watches football a lot, fandom, and it's not even just football in general, it's just sports in general. I mean, fans are important. They're paying tickets to go watch you play. So it's like the brand of basketball that you're feeding Washington fans, it's some BS. You know what I mean, and teams like Washington, they will always find a way to lose the game. You know what I mean, there's a game they played against Chicago the other night. They should have won the game, but bad teams will always find a way to lose.
Yes.
And you see that with
Yes, I saw them face the Pistons as well. I think it might have been a couple of weeks ago, and they had a
mm,
lead, absolutely blew it, went into overtime, and they Cade Cunningham took over in overtime.
that's just because then it begs the question like, what are these coaches actually telling them in the huddle when they're up 20? It's like this is the point where we just throw it away. Do you know what I mean? It's disappointing. It's disappointing. I can't because I mean, taking it back to the Premier League and stuff. There's always jeopardy. You know what I mean, if you play bad enough, you will get relegated. You know what I mean, you get demoted. Certain people start losing their jobs. Stuff like that. But in the NBA, it's almost like you're being rewarded for losing, and I can never get comfortable to that sort of idea. So then when you look at the Washington, the Wizards, I feel like they've almost gotten a bit comfortable with losing. Even if that's not the case, at least that's what it looks like from the outside looking in.
That's a damn shame as well because then it's like you're thinking of the years when they had Jordan Poole and the Kuzmas and that. It's like, am I really giving them a? Do you remember when we had this conversation a few weeks ago? Actually, I think it might have been the first episode of the season when we talked about Jordan Poole flapping his gums about moving to the Pelicans,
Pelicans,
and
yeah.
you was like, well, it's hard to be positive when you play in Washington, and then I was like, no, you should be more motivated in regards to let's turn this situation around and let's make Washington popping again. But then
Mm.
now, am I giving too much credit to Jordan Poole and Kuzma because they've moved on? And while the record says it for itself, the men are worse with removing problems, allegedly. Kuzma and
Facts.
Poole were problems, according to a lot of NBA fans. But now they have this young core of players and they have all these guys that, they can build around and their future. Well, they've won one game more than me and you. Stateside have since they've moved the
Facts.
problems, and at least Jordan Poole has double the wins that they have. So,
Mm.
am I giving credence to them, man? Even though they were bad objectively, and now, they have all these guys, and I don't know. Stateside,
Uh,
it's a disaster,
Yes,
disaster in
it really
Washington.
is. It really is. Because every time I think of Washington, I always think of them losing. You know what I mean? Obviously, you would have thought Bradley Beal and John Wall, they would have set a good enough like stall for these young guys to come in and take that over. But it's like they're almost putting that into disrepute. You know what I mean? With what Bill and Wall built over there in the early 2010s.
Difficult to say because I've always said before I used to like the Wizards as well with John Wall and Bradley Beal, or Porter was there as well, Coulthard was there as well, solid big man. I used to
Mm.
like the cut of their jib
It had a
in
nice little identity going on over there. You knew
yeah,
exactly what to expect when you turned on a Wizards game.
yeah, man. But sad to see how the team has regressed over the years. Over the years, didn't get nearly enough for Bradley Beal as well when they traded him. Obviously, now they're in the situation that they are. So let's see. I think they still got some more picks to come up. To be fair to them, but yeah, I don't know. Expect buyout. By the way, expect buyouts for like CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton. These are not guys that unfortunately they want to stick. They want to keep around because they're going to help them win games. They're trying to lose from where it seems like in embarrassing fashion. By the way, so I'd like to think buyouts around the trade deadline. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Let's see. Because there could be some effective pieces on some teams. Last one in the Eastern Conference, Stateside Health. And it's in regards to somebody that we've spoken about a few times, LaMelo Ball. There were some rumors that came out saying that he was unhappy with the situation in Charlotte and potentially could be asking, if he hasn't already, for a trade. Now, just last week, he came out, spoke to the media, and said, "If you didn't hear it from me, then you didn't hear it. This is nonsense. I'm happy in Charlotte, and I want to see us kind of turn it around." I guess me and you have spoken about LaMelo Ball in regards to big year for him in Charlotte. He needs to show that he can play winning basketball. He needs to show that he's capable of being the leader that this team needs, that they've been screaming for since he's come into the NBA. And the question I guess I have for you, Stateside Humph, is do you think that after all these years, he still wants to be that guy that says, I'm the person who took Charlotte at least into the play and into the playoffs. I'm the one who's given this team some sort of identity. I'm the one who's given the fan base something to believe in. Do you think he still has that in him? Because that's a lot to take for a franchise that's not too dissimilar to the Wizards. That's very difficult to, cope with year after year after year after year.
I mean, I hear that, but then there is when you look at Detroit with Cade, you know what I mean, they were a heavily losing team. I think they won like 20, they lost like 26 in a row or something. The
Yes.
most losses by NBA team ever.
Yes.
And obviously Cade has upscaled his game. Obviously they've brought in and big bigger stuff, and they've drafted well as well, which obviously helps. And I feel like that obviously that helped build up Detroit. And when you're looking at Charlotte and LaMelo, they've brought in LaMelo. A couple of years has gone by. He suffered his injury problems as well. But I just feel like there is a chance where he could upscale his game as well to then can I love a storyline. Do you know what I mean? I love a storyline. So if I want Lamelo to stay in Charlotte, it'll be weird to see him anywhere else. But I feel like if Lamelo stays in Charlotte, get your game to the level. You know what I mean, be the leader that they need you to be. Or maybe he might not just be that. Maybe I'm expecting more from him than he can actually provide. You know what I mean?
They've got, Concadupo, good rookie over there now. He's
He
averaging
is
almost 20
solid.
points. He's
I
nice.
like
He's
his
got a
game
good
a lot.
jumper. Not the greatest defender in the world, but he's a rookie. I'm giving him that kind of slack. But he's giving them great offensive production. Excuse me. He's giving them, some ideas that I'm not saying you should build the team around him or anything like that. He's just a shooter at the end of the day. But, there's some hope and there's some, credence in regards to, look, they're drafting and they're helping you as much as you can. But
Mm.
you need to be the guy that puts everything together and take us there. And I was very hard on him in the beginning of the season, saying like, look, if you show me that with the best team that you've had in since you've come into the NBA, that you can't give me something different in regards to, let me think about Charlotte as a playing team, as a playoff team. Let me look at Charlotte in a different sort of lens. If you can't do that for me this year, probably is never going to happen. And maybe he's seen it like that as well, in that, look, this is the best squad I have, but I'll be real, I don't have it in me for these guys anymore, man. Maybe I just need something new. Maybe I need a new situation.
I mean, so this new situation that you're talking about, if he ends up in another team, wherever this team is he the number one player? Are they building everything around him?
Now it depends. I like to think no, just because, look, you've had your chance to be the guy, the franchise guy, and unfortunately, if you get traded, it will mean to me that that's probably not you. As in, for an extended period of time. It could be you for a short spell of time. Like if you get traded to another team and our star goes down, okay, you need to be the number one option now. For a
Mm.
moment in time, yes, that can be you. But if he goes to somebody else's team, if he goes to the Magic, if he gets traded to, let's say he gets traded, I don't know, to my King somehow, and we retain Sabonis. Well, you're coming into somebody else's situation now, whereas yes, you have some credence. You've been an all-star. You have talent, and you will play a specific role. But that's what you will have to do. Unfortunately, you'll have to fit in with what we're doing here and with who our star player currently is, kind of thing. I don't know if he can really be a star anywhere else. Charlotte is going to be the best situation that he can do that in, because that will always be his team for the remainder of time that he's there. But if you don't want that anymore, then he's going to give up that star status, unfortunately, in regards to being that number one option, because he can't do it anywhere else.
That's why I'm more leaning towards him staying in Charlotte because his value that he
Do
provides to
you
the
think he
team
can
is
be that?
no, no, because I think his value that he provides is with having the ball in his hands. Do you know what I mean? Initiating plays and hitting shots. But if we're both saying that he can't be the number one option, then there'll have to be a level of off ball play that I just don't think will be at the level for him to really impact another team, if that makes sense. For them to like either compete or I don't know win.
Well, it makes sense, but that would be if he was to get traded and go to another team, Surely
Mm.
that has to be the mindset that he has to adopt. You're not going. Nobody in the NBA, I believe, is trading for LaMelo Ball expecting him to change the destiny of their franchise. They're bringing him in to be like, you're a nice piece to add to what we already have going on. Maybe it's the final piece to what we have going on. But if he's gonna be traded to a team that is, yes, we're trading for LaMelo Ball, we're gonna give you 5 first-round picks because we believe this is the guy to turn it around. Nobody's doing that. No way.
It's too much of a risk. You know what I mean? It's too much of a risk with LaMelo.
Shame. But hey, Caesar's still young. You never know. Maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe they'll, give me that lens to look into in regards to,
Mm.
yes, the Hornets are a playing team. Yes, the Hornets can make some noise. They are 12th in the Eastern Conference, 4 games win, 13 games lost. How many games are they behind in
They
the
don't have a
playing
bad
standings?
team though. That's the thing.
They are 5 games behind the Boston
Uh,
Celtics. So I'm not sure, to
I,
be honest with you. I'm not sure. I've been surprised by
it
this.
throws me off that the Celtics are that low.
Yeah, but the Celtics are kind of cheeks. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I understand Jalen Brown's doing what he can do. His hairline is also doing what it can do, but it's not happening for them, man. Unless they trade for a big man.
Sure.
If they get a big
Fair.
man, then we might be cooking with something.
Fair.
I saw, I don't know how they calculate this, by the way, but I saw a graphic that said that Jason Tatum is 80% likely to return this season. Now, I don't know how the hell you calculate that, but put that in your fucking.
Facts.
That's the first time I even saw it
Facts.
on the podcast. Put the fries in the bag. Whoever made that graphic.
Yeah, I gotta pack that in, man.
Yeah, pack it in, brother. Pack it in. Because Jason Tatum, I don't want to see him dribble of an
Nah,
official NBA basketball on the court until 2026. In regards
Boston
to
aren't
next
gonna
year.
risk that.
Yeah, in regards to
Boston,
next year.
there's no way they're risking that. They've
Nah.
given him way too much money. You know what I mean, for it to go
That's a
south like that.
that's a prized
Mm-mm.
asset.
No,
Unfortunately, you're not risking that. I'm afraid. An Achilles
no,
injury as well. Don't play with that one, big man. Don't play with that.
impossible.
Sorry, Stateside. I got unnecessarily rattled there because the Celtics have done this to me. Shall we play one more game?
Let's play one more game. Let's wrap this
Ah,
up.
yes, let's wrap this up indeed. There is funny enough, lost it, but I'll find it very quickly. Our great friends at Bleacher Report have compiled a list, and I have another list as well to go into this. There's a few players this year that have taken definitely visible, jumps in their development. And I know it's early in the season. I understand that, but let me land. All I want you to do is tell me, are you a believer in these
Mm.
certain players' development? Are they real, stages in this is what we could see? This player could even get a better from here. Or are these just flashes in the pan? Can you do that for me? Can you do that for the people?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Now you have to bear with me because I have unfortunately closed the tab. Don't know how I've done it, but here we go. I found it. Here we go. There's a few here, and there's a few here. Actually, funny enough, on NBA.com, they have compiled a nice little usage rate intake in regards to whose usage rate is much higher compared to what it was last season. Not
Mm.
these people in regards to the game, but I'm seeing Keyshawn George from the Wizards. I'm seeing Shaden Sharp. I'm seeing Jaylen Brown for obvious reasons. I'm seeing Jalen Duran, who's enjoying a great season. But fun fact for you, Stateside, do you know who's number one in regards to the highest jump in usage rate?
Number one, no.
Are you a believer in Dylan Brooks? He's made jumps in his development stage over the last 7 games, averaging 25 points a game for the Phoenix
Dylan
Suns.
Brooks.
Dylan Brooks. Now,
What?
the narratives and the things that the learned behaviors that you know of him, you would never think so. He's averaging about, I need to get the numbers for you, but over the last few games, I've given you this, that 25 of them things. Are you a believer in what Dylan Brooks has shown you this season?
I am. Weirdly enough, Dylan Brooks is someone that I'm secretly a fan of. Do you know what I mean? Because I know he has always extra stuff that he does. And he talks a lot. So a lot of people kind of correlate how he is in terms of like his personality on the court to his actual basketball play. He's a quality basketball player. I was hearing noise about he might not get another basketball. He might not get another team once he leaves Memphis. I'm like, can we actually watch the game properly and not let our gender carry us through what we're saying. I mean, that's a quality basketball player. 25, averaging 25 in his last seven is ridiculous to me. Obviously, that will regress back to the mean, but he is the type of player that can give you a big performance when you need it. And I feel like a player like that comes in handy in the playoffs. Obviously, with his defense as well, helps set a good defensive culture, as you can see in Phoenix as well. So, I'm a believer, man. I'm a believer.
Last few games 25, 22, 12, 34, 32, 18, and
Oh,
18. He's averaging 14 points on the season as of right now, 25 in his last seven.
that's that's a solid role player.
You know what I mean? Obviously, throw in his defense as well. Fair plays, fair juice to Dylan Brooks. I'm not a believer. I'm not going to lie. That will regress back to the mean because I don't think he's a good enough shooter to carry on those kind of,
No,
numbers per se. However,
not leave him too open now.
yeah, for sure, for sure. There's other people like Ryan Dunn can't hit the ball in the ocean, unfortunately.
Facts.
Like him though, do like him. The next player, this one is from Bleacher Report, Jalen Duran. You see what he's been doing for the Detroit Pistons.
Yes,
You see the rebounds, you see the points, you see little mid range in there as well.
he's built
None
like a
if
brick
we
shit
get to the
house.
3 point line. Yeah, we're not, going to the 3 point line. That's not his game, stateside Humph.
No,
But are you a believer in Jalen Duran and the jump he's made in his development?
I am, and I like when players are encouraged to make steps and jumps in their game when they see that in the playoffs they needed me to be more of like to put the ball on the floor to put more pressure at the rim instead of just being a dribble handoff sort of center or just blocking shots, getting rebounds, runouts. Can I expand my game a little bit more? Do you know what I mean? Can I tap into different skills that maybe in high school, maybe at the collegiate level, I was doing at a comfortable level. Can I now bring that up in the playoff in the NBA? Do you know what I mean? I've set a good foundation with what I'm doing, with the basic skills of a center. Now can I expand my game? And obviously, as you're seeing him expand his game, getting more and more comfortable as the games go on, it's helping reflect on in the record with the Pistons. Could end up getting him an All Star berth this time around as well. And like I said, he's built like a brick shit house, but he's got a bit of finesse to the bruiser sort of force that he normally plays with, which I like.
Fair enough. I'm also a believer in Jalen Duran. I love his game, and
Yeah,
I've been an admirer for a while. To be fair, now he's added the little mid range in there as well. I can tell he's a hard worker. I can tell in the
yeah,
summertime he
because
had his head down.
they try and compare him to Dwight Howard and stuff, which I see certain similarities, but Dwight wasn't hitting mid range shots like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. The next one on this list, Jamal Murray. Historically, yes, Jamal Murray is a slow starter to NBA seasons. But might I add you, he's averaging 22 points a game, 23 points a game if you like, the most in his NBA career. And people have tipped him potentially for the All-Star game if he continues this form. But Stateside Humph, are you a believer in what Jamal Murray has shown you this year?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. There's still part of me that is a bit skeptical. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like we're waiting for this jump. Well, we're waiting for this switch every time. Jamal Murray starts the season slowly, and then it's like on the playoffs. That's when he turns his game around. But then in the last couple of seasons, I haven't really seen that. You know what I mean? So if he's having a fast start to the regular season, you'd want him to continue as he started. You know what I mean? Or start as you mean to go on. And it's obviously reflecting the record as well. The Nuggets 10-4 right now, but I am impressed with what he's doing so far. But obviously the question is, can he continue that? Is it a flash in the pan? Is he going to go back to just being more passive than he should be?
I've got a couple more for you here, matey. Nikhil Alexander Walker. Now, a lot of this, of course, has been because Trae Young has missed a lot of time through injury. But we
Mm,
spoke about Jalen Johnson and we like his form of development. And we
yes.
spoke about Nikhil Alexander Walker in regards to being a good piece that they added in the off-season. However, stateside Humph, in regards to how well he's playing at the minute, and I'll get his numbers for you in a second, in regards to Nikhil Alexander Walker being one of those players, fringe, all-star, whatever you want to call it, are you a believer in Nikhil Alexander Walker?
I am, because he played at a very high level last year for Minnesota. I mean, obviously they had to let him go because They couldn't have paid both him and Nas Reed. But Minnesota knew exactly the type of player, the type of valuable role player that they lost in Nickeil Alexander Walker. And you're seeing obviously his play in Atlanta right now. I mean, since Trae Young's been out, he's now scaling up his offensive game in terms of playmaking, his shooting, his scoring. That's a very, very good player. I mean, that's Shea's cousin, so are we surprised? I mean, shout out player of the week, Shea, man. I mean, 32 points a week.
20
But
points, 36% from free, by the way, and Nikhil Alexander Walker.
we take those. I mean, we take those, especially in Trey's absence. Yeah, that's good production.
Fair play, mate. I'm gonna say though, I'm not much of a believer just because when Trey comes back, he will just go back to being just a role player, which is fine, which is okay.
Hey,
Free
he
all
torched us
star,
being a role player in the conference finals last year.
and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a role player, by the way. I never said there's anything wrong with it. But
Mm.
in regards to being, those fringe all star kind of guys, yeah, is he like on a Norman Powell kind of level? No, not to
I
me.
wouldn't. I wouldn't say that. No.
I can't say I'm a believer, but he's a great role player, though. Great role player, great role
Facts.
player. So no disrespect if you were somehow listening to this right now.
Hmm.
Last one for you, matey. Austin Reeves. We know what Laker fans are like. This is country Kobe. I've been heard some nicknames in regards to Austin Reeves and what he was doing at the start of the season with no LeBron, with no Luka. I understand it. Yes, he's coming into the season better than he was last year. But Stateside Humph, are you a believer in Austin Reeves? All-star level. That's what the Laker fans tell me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I am. I am. I mean, in the playoffs, sometimes physicality does bother him. Do you know what I mean? So then, what you see in the regular season doesn't necessarily smoothly translate into the playoffs. But he's the type of talent that, first of all, you can't leave him open. Do you know what I mean? His playmaking is at a very good level. When Luke and LeBron sits out, he can carry the team. Gives you big performance with 45 points earlier this year, 51 points. I mean, can get to the free throw line at will. He is a free throw merchant, but I mean that in a good way. Do you know what I mean? Can grift really well, can put points on the board. He's very, very good. He does play as an all at an all star level. I mean, I think if LeBron didn't play the season, from his numbers alone, plus the Laker tax, slap that on there, you've got yourself an all star. So yeah, I say I'm a believer.
Fairs, man. Fairs, you're a better man than me. I don't know about all stars, especially with how loaded the West is per se.
We
But
say they just chucking anyone at all star.
well, I've seen Andrew Wiggins start in the All Star game, and I was like, yeah, man, that's where I draw the line. I can't lie. That's where I draw
Why
the
did
line.
he catch a straight? What the hell?
I don't know, but he's the first person that came into my head when it's Fugazi All Stars, But hey, man,
Hey,
um, fair play to Austin Reeves. Like I said, he has taken developments and he has come into the season better than he was last year. But isn't it just Laker fans being Laker fans? Isn't there an element of that?
there definitely is an element of that, but I try and look at his actual play on the court as well, which is ridiculous. I mean, his talent is really good. But then if you're looking at an all star thing, and this actually might be a topic we might have to touch on next week, that 65 game thing. I mean, there's a lot of players that are just missing too many games now, so they might not even end up playing the All Star. Do you know what I mean? And in terms of all NBA and stuff like that, if he sneaks into a third team, do not be surprised because he is playing a lot of these games. Do you know what I mean? And your Wemby's now he's injured. He was supposed to be a bank for a Defensive Player of the Year last year and this year. He's missed out with calf, injuries, and if he does not make this 65, game threshold, he's not going to get these awards. And players like Austin Reeves, in terms of All Star berth, he might get that just because he's played enough games. And like I said, his numbers are of an All Star level when he's really on it. He can put in a good stretch and make it.
Austin Reeves not a bad player now. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, Stay Southampton. By the
Mm.
way, I've now closed the standings, but Lakers, last time I checked, they're doing pretty well. They got it's going all right for
Back
being
to
on the
back.
Lakers. Yeah,
Um,
second in the West right now. 12 and 4.
Bronze back to
Yeah,
back
bronze
wins
back.
against the Jazz.
It's not
So
bad,
they'll
is
take
it?
those.
Not bad to be a Laker fan right now, man. I
They'll
can't lie
take
to you.
those.
They're not shooting it very well from what I saw,
Nah, they're not.
but they're still winning games regardless. So they can fix it. They can fix it.
They got the LA Derby tomorrow.
Oh, the
Yeah.
battle is the battle of the unks, the unctions.
4 a.m.
Oh
No
no,
one's watching that.
nah, I can't be here to watch it. Unfortunately, I've got to be responsible. I don't go to work in the morning.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was
I'm
high as
catching the
well.
Raptors Cavs game tonight though, 12 o'clock. See
Ooh,
what they're
that'll be a good
saying.
one. That'll be a
But the
good one.
Raptors are 12-5.
What would it tell you if the Raptors beat the Cavs?
That the Cavs are not the team that I thought they were. What did Perk say about the Cavs? They're creamy in the middle.
He's violated.
On national television.
They're
Creamy in the
what?
middle. Good God. That's some decorum.
That's some decorism. I swear.
I'm trying to say, that's some grace. The kids at the
Oh,
table. Creamy in the
bro.
middle. Beg your
Honestly,
pardon.
man. Oh my
What?
gosh, man. Hey, man.
But I mean, the Cavs, it's like, it's almost like I'm sitting there waiting for the Cavs to look like the free flowing Cavs of last season. But I'm still not seeing it. And
Mm.
then Garland comes back from the toe injury or whatever, and then is now out again with that exact same injury. So I'm just like, you're almost banking and waiting for Garland to come back. And when Garland did come back in the playoffs, albeit he was still injured, he's too small.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? He's too small. Defensively, he hurts you a lot. He might give you 20 points, but he'll give it back on the other end on defense as well. So
Yeah.
if the Raptors beat the Cavs, which the Raptors are playing at home, so I won't be surprised. It just tells me that the Cavs just might not be the team that I thought they are. And even if they win, it'll probably be on a Donovan Mitchell hero ball 40+ point game. Which how sustainable is that in the play in the postseason?
So I don't know if I told you this before. There was rumors at the beginning of the season where it was like Jarrett Allen, Darius got one of you's lot, maybe both of you's lot. You might have to go. So don't be
Facts. Yeah.
surprised if there's some major moves in Cleveland in regards to their championship window is not going to be long, or it's not going to be open for very long if they still have clear question marks about their roster, who their key players are, who can they rely on in the playoffs. So if it's a case of Garland injured all the time, too small to play in the playoffs anyway, Jarrett Allen allegedly, I'm not going to say that, but but if there's elements of that, then I'm sorry,
Right.
you've got to go. So keep tabs on what the Cavs do in regards to moves. Lonzo, by the way, I've been playing good basketball. I'm not gonna lie, been playing great basketball. Love the addition of Lonzo Ball to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah. I mean, same here, but it's just
He
in
can't
terms
start
of the
though.
level, in
No.
terms of the level they need to play, and obviously the expectation from winning 60 games last year. I think it might just be a flash in the pan. Maybe there were the 2015 Hawks.
Stark. That's unfortunate to say because you was very high on them as well last year. So that's very
I
unfortunate for
was.
you to say. But regardless, thank you for listening to episode 60 of the Stateside Report UK. Please like, share, comment, rate, subscribe, all that jazzy stuff. Me and Stateside Humph back again next week.
Same time next week. We will try and get a guest on as
Oh
soon as
yes.
well.
Oh yes. Oh yes. There's a lot going on in the association, and we need to do deep dives of some of these teams for sure.
Facts.
For now, though, lads, we'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Hope you enjoyed it.